guys, this is Josh with Paparazzi Imaging and Films. This is the Vignette podcast, episode 12, and we have Ava McCurdy on the show today. So she's in the IWA Watercross series. She's also a professional women's snowcross racer. So let's jump right into it. This past season, you had an injury during the Ditch Banger National while you were racing in the Snowcross Nationals. Kind of walk me through that process and the injury and everything.
Yeah, so in my qualifying round in Ditch Banger National, I ended up going off the berm, my throttle stuck, and I ended up breaking my tibia, and then I was out for about pretty much the rest of the season, which really, really sucked because I kind of felt like I didn't really get to leave off. I left off on Deadwood, and I did not do how I wanted to at Deadwood. I didn't do how I wanted to the whole season. So it was really, really hard leaving off on that note. Mm-hmm. But I kind of had a lot of, Maylene talked to me a lot and kind of got me through a lot of that stuff. I had a couple people that really did, and kind of just now we're back to the gym and biking and just getting back ready for next season because I'm podiuming next season. So.
Yeah, like you said, you got what I have written down here, a 6th at Deadwood. Is that correct? Or a 7th and a 6th?
I think I got a 7th and a 6th, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it definitely sucked. I mean, my dad did amazing with clutching that whole 6 races that I did and had hole shots the whole time, especially at Fargo. Mm-hmm. And I didn't put up the results that I knew I was capable of doing. Yeah.
So what was in your mind when you did have the injury? You know, besides the not having the continuing the snowcross season. You know.
Yeah. I felt like I kind of let everybody down because there's so many people that like bent over backwards to help me and like dropped everything to help me, and I went and got hurt at a Ditch Banger National race of all things, and I knew that all I needed was a big track like Fargo, mm-hmm. and I would have been able to, and I knew that I was there, and I just had to put it all together, so we're going into next season with that.
Nice, and I'm sure you were really looking forward to Sioux Falls because that was another big track too.
Yeah, I was really excited for Michigan and Iowa because I love ski hill tracks. Mm-hmm. Geneva's by far my favorite track. I love that track so much, and because pretty much the last half of the season was all big tracks.
Right. Yeah, and with all finished closing doors, it doesn't seem like we're going to be going back to Fargo.
No.
Which kind of sucks.
I mean, I'm not going to miss the cold. I'm fine with that. Fine with not freezing my butt off again, but, I mean, that track was always super fun, too.
Yeah, it was very snowcrossy, supercrossy, very big air and technical. Yeah. You know, that's the way I kind of saw it, besides the cold.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a supercross style track almost. You had very similar stuff to supercross.
Yeah, and it just all around, it was a great venue, you know. And Sioux Falls was great. You know, that was kind of supercrossy too. It sucked that you didn't get to race that one. But, talk to me about the Ditch Banger. How was that? I haven't been to the Ditch Banger. I've always wanted to go, and every single time that I get the opportunity, something else pops up.
It was really fun. I mean, I think we practiced like 2, and I didn't go back out and ride until 7 or 8, I think. So it was really spread out. It was, if you think you're in shape, that will make you feel not in shape.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, all the snowcross racers, we all lost brakes. All of us. Within like 4 laps, we lost our brakes. So we're sitting there trying to figure out how to drive with no brakes. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, SeaTac raced. He didn't lose brakes. He goes, it's just you guys. Like, you guys are the only ones that lose your brakes. But it was super fun up until I broke my leg.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not fun at all. Did you know immediately that you broke your leg?
As soon as because I landed perfectly.
Okay.
So as soon as I landed, I kind of had a feeling that something was wrong, and I had that pain in my leg, and at first, like, you know, like that just 30-second, like, like awful pain that you get.
Mm-hmm.
At first I thought it was that, and I hit the wall and I kind of just slid down the wall, and I was sitting there and I went to stand up and I hit my leg off the seat. As soon as I did that, I knew that it was broke because it was just a excruciating pain. I slid right off the side of the sled and I just curled up in a ball and just laid there until I think my brother was the first one to me.
Mm-hmm.
So until they got there, and it was not good.
Do you think it was the combination of the track and having like no suspension on those sleds because it's not like a race sled at all?
Yeah, I think because I lost my brakes a couple laps before that while I was leading, and I lost my brakes, and I started to fall back. Well, then I knew better than to drive the way I was with no brakes, and I was sitting there pumping them because I knew, because ice ovals on the big sled you have to pump your brakes to get them to come back.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and I finally got them to come back, and I drove as hard as I could because there was about 4 people kind of like tangled up into the corner. So I drove as hard as I could to get in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to let off, and I went to grab my brake, and all of a sudden my brake went to the bar, and the throttle stayed to the bar, and I'm like, oh crap.
Oh no.
And then my left foot got stuck in the stirrup, and I was along for the ride at that point.
Jeez, you didn't even think about pulling the tether or anything?
It all happened so quickly that like the first thing is, okay, bail. Well, when you go to bail, you're like, oh crap. And by the time that I went to bail, because I'm like, hey, I have to kind of bail at the last second so that way I don't get hit by another sled.
Right.
And then I went to bail and I couldn't get off of it, and I'm like, oh crap, you're just along for the ride. Just land and you'll be fine. And I was not fine.
Yeah, that sucks so much.
Yeah.
So how long was that process from the moment that you broke your leg until?
So it was I was in a splint for about 2.5 weeks, and then I was in my first cast for 4 weeks, second cast for a week, and then I was in a boot from April all the way till a couple weeks ago. So.
Jeez. So you just recently got out of the boot?
Yeah, I think I got out of it middle of May.
Wow.
End of May. And
Okay.
I had to teach myself how to walk, and my dad was kind of laughing at me because he's like, I learned how to walk in the same exact spot that you did, because he broke his leg in watercross.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, well, you just have to do it. You have to like block the pain out. And I just kept telling myself, I'm like, you've raced with worse pain. Like you've raced with worse. Like you can walk, figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. That absolutely sucked. Did he break his leg in the same exact spot that you did too?
He broke his tibia and his fibia, but I was so little when he did it. He broke his tibia and his fibia, and it was like almost his ankle, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know that feeling. I did the same thing.
His was really bad. He had to have multiple surgeries. I think he said his tibia grew faster, or one of them grew faster, and it didn't grow properly.
Oh,
so they had to go back in, do surgery, cut the bone, so that way they would grow equal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, his was like worst case scenario almost.
Yikers.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are savages. So are you currently back on the sled? Have you been doing IWA races?
So I don't think I'm gonna do any races this year, just because it takes about 6 months for your tibia to fully heal.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not cleared. I have to go back in July to go get my last X-ray to make sure that it is fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I can go back to fully normal stuff. But I don't think that I will be doing any watercross this year.
Okay.
But I'm not getting rid of my sled. So
future, you're gonna
next
continue.
year, I'll probably move up and run semi-pro.
Okay.
And we'll probably do a couple.
Nice. So you're gonna be up in the big ranks.
Yeah, I wanted to move up last year, but my dad wouldn't let me. And I'm like, just let me move up.
Was that because of an age thing, or just
No, so in watercross, it's very similar, like, age stuff to snowcross and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you can start racing watercross with IWA at 14. At 16, you can run, or I think it's either 16 or 18, you can start running pro open, which before we never had a sport class up until the very first year the year before I started racing watercross. We didn't have a sports class.
Okay.
So that class you can run like at any age.
Interesting.
Pretty
Yeah,
much
I don't
14 and up.
I don't know the rules to IWAs. It's still new to me. I only went to one race last year at Brainerd, so it's really cool. I dig that sport.
Yeah, it's cool. It's one of the most frustrating and rewarding sports you'll do.
Yeah.
Just because those sleds are so temperamental.
Mhm.
They're to be honest, I think they're more temperamental than the old snowcross mods. Those things just, you either get a good motor or you get a really bad motor.
Yeah. Well,
There's
they
no
are
in between.
they are like the Pro Open mods, aren't they? Because they're completely modded out to the frame, to everything.
Yeah, there's nothing stock about those sleds.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And just the way that you can sink them, take a bolt out, drain the motor out, and you're ready to go for your next heat. That's insane.
Yeah, it's honestly it's super simple. Like you literally drain your gas, take your belt off, throw a impact on the clutch, take your spark plugs out, and sit there and run the impact on one of the clutches, and it spins it and gets all the water out, and you're good to go.
That's insane. I would be afraid. I had a conversation with Ryan from CNA about this, and just just having water in the motor would just scare me, alone, because you get it into the fuel system and into everything else, and it's just like that motor can detonate. But engineering, that sort of stuff is beyond my pay grade and how all that stuff works. But it's still insane, And it's cool that people are modding sleds out still like that. Aside from snowcross, so the only other mod sleds are what, mountain sleds that we see.
I think so, yeah. Like those ones and Drake sleds, but those aren't like our sleds or anything.
Right. Yeah, and the only people that I know is like D&D Racing, BMP, obviously. But yeah, regardless, it's still sick.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And to hear those sleds on water is insane.
I love how those ones sound.
Yeah. It's like you're submerging. It's almost like a jet ski, you know?
If you think those ones sound cool, you should hear like my dad's old Yamaha. We still have that one.
Is that a 800?
It's a triple. I don't even remember. I was so little when the last time that thing ran.
So what is it, an old Viper? Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, my brother got thrown on that at 14 years old.
Holy crap. That's insane.
Fucking Broncos, what that thing was.
Wow. Oh, you got to get on that thing then.
We're trying to get it out for Grantsford.
Okay.
So it might. We'll see how much time we got.
Crunch time.
Yeah.
So before you jumped into snowcross, you did IWAs, obviously, like we're talking about. At what point did you transition into snowcross? It wasn't until recently, right?
Yeah.
A couple years ago?
So I was racing ice ovals since I was 7 years old to 12, and then I turned 13, and I didn't decide that I was going to race snowcross until I think my dad and I were on the way to go deer hunting when he told me that I was going to race snowcross.
Oh, so it wasn't even your decision.
No, he's like, "What do you think of snowcross?" And I'm like, it's cool. I'm like, I think the people that do it are kind of a little crazy, like watching it, because I always had it at Eagle River when we were racing. They always had it in the center of the track.
Yeah.
So
for the big what did they call that? The Eagle River
World Championship.
Yeah, World Championship.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they always had it in there, and I'd always watch it. I'm like, holy crap! I watched a guy go flying off the tabletop and land on the ice.
Yikers!
I'm like, you guys are crazy. And then here I am, 3 years later, and I'm racing pro women's snowcross.
Insane. Yeah. And you didn't even do it. Did you do a transition class?
I did junior girls for 1 year, and I took second in that. And then I got thrown right up at 14 into pro women's and said, "Here you go, figure it out."
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Wow. And was that the era of Megan Brodeur?
No, that was the year. My first year of snowcross was the last year that she raced.
Oh, okay. So that was the year that she kind of lost the championship at Eagle River.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. But either way, that was cool. At least you got to, be contending with her, or No, because you were in juniors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
was my
at
last
least you
year.
got to watch her,
Yeah.
which is really cool. Because she was what, 6-time champ, 5-time? She was up there.
5, I think,
I want
but
to
I
say 5.
think the most she got consecutive was 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's gotten 4 yet.
Okay.
Like 4 straight.
Okay.
So we'll see if Maylene can do it this winter. I mean, I know everybody wants to stop her, but
Yeah.
Maylene's fast.
Yeah, she is. Those Skidoos are rocket ships.
They handle. I rode Arctic Cat. I tried Isaac Peterson's Polaris when we were still all on juniors.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried AJ Skolquist's Skidoo. By far, the Skidoos handle the best. In my opinion, for a smaller rider, they are insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're so much more narrow.
Yeah.
You know, the Arctic Cats are very bulky, you know, with the side panels and everything else. I would say the same with the Polarises.
The Polaris, like, I was sitting on one in it. I mean, they're good sleds, don't get me wrong. I mean, Emo came out insanely fast in those last couple rounds.
Oh, yeah.
They just, for a smaller rider, I mean, you guys see how small Anana's seat is. They are so,
Yeah.
like, it's like a wall in front of you almost. And the seats are like a brick.
Mm-hmm.
So they're, for smaller riders, they're not good. But for, like, people Oscar, Cody, or Emo size, they're perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Emil's tall. What is he, like 6'5"?
I have no
6'6"?
idea.
He's huge.
I feel like a midget next to them.
Yeah, he towers over anybody.
He's huge.
Yeah. If I was Jetty, I'd be intimidated by him.
Well, I feel like that's how they all are over there. Either they're like Topi Posty size
Yeah.
or they're emo size. There's no in between.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even Elias is small.
Yeah.
And he rides that skidoo like you were saying.
Yeah, they're absolutely insane when you're a smaller rider. They're like the best sled for a smaller rider.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, it makes sense because we see a lot of junior riders riding them, you know? And how is the transition going from Arctic Cat to skidoo?
It was a struggle at the beginning of last year. I struggled a lot at the beginning of the year. I don't think anything really finally clicked until about New York.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, going into Canterbury, I was terrified. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna stack up against these people. Like, I don't want to be in the way. Like, if I'm getting lapped, I don't want to be lapped. Like, it was nerve-wracking almost. It was the most nervous I've ever been to race.
Right.
And I mean, there's so much different, especially on a junior sled.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like I rode Arctic Cat on full throttle and then went to Skidoo full throttle.
Mm-hmm.
So I got thrown. My dad kind of threw me right away onto a full throttle sled, which was one of Shearing's sleds.
Okay.
And we got that. I went out there and I struggled with the full throttle for a long time because I was like so used to having no throttle that I was like worried about overshooting everything.
Yeah.
And so I think Dave, one of Skolquist's mechanics, he told my dad, he's like, put her 50%. And I ran 50% a lot of the time last year.
Really?
I ran 50% in Canterbury on Friday. I think I ran it Friday at Fargo, Friday in Iowa. I ran it a lot for the first half of the season. I ran it Friday in New York, and I got third in qualifying for women's.
What?
They
That's
don't
insane.
spin off the line. So when it's
Yeah.
icier, they don't spin.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And I ran everything clicked finally at New York, and I was also running 14-15. And I think I qualified third in 14-15 on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then my hot start went out on the line, and
Oh,
honestly, I was fast enough to podium. It was just my hot start went out on the line, so.
That doesn't usually happen.
No, with those sometimes, I mean, the players is used to blow reeds, and
Oh, yeah, all the
we
time.
go out with hot starts. Like our pipe sensor, sometimes they just go out, like.
Yep.
So then they won't read correctly, so it'll think it's up to temp, and then it won't be.
Yep.
So it just kind of went out, and I didn't really know what to do because it was one of the first. I think it was like the second time it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I just let it idle, and then it just loaded up, and I was just like dead last off the line.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And driving with boys is they don't like getting beat by a girl. I think one of the kids tried to clean me out going up the triple. I'm like, holy crap! I've never dealt with this before.
Yeah, the last time that I saw a female ride in a boys class was Taven Woody. She rode with Sport Light, I do believe, and she was in second place at Geneva, and then her belt or
Yeah,
something
I think
went
her
out.
belt blew her. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a CDI box.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
CDI box right on the finish line, and she had 2 laps to go, and she was on the podium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. I wish you guys would do it more, because then it would show that you guys can, you females can ride with the boys.
Yeah.
I think Malene should jump into sport. I think the time of Megan Berder, she should have jumped into sport or pro light, one of the two, because she's fast. She
Yeah.
runs sport, or she runs pro light in Canada.
And wins.
Yeah, and wins.
Yeah.
I've seen her do it. I don't know why she didn't do it in the States. I think she was more concerned about the championship.
Yeah.
And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Malene actually was signed up for pro light or sport, one of the two classes at the last race.
So in Iowa, if I am correct, she signed up for sport on Sunday. Mm-hmm. She already had the championship locked up on Saturday.
Yeah.
And she signed up for it Sunday. Of course, she still had a broken tailbone. Mm-hmm. And she went out for practice, and I think they just decided that the pace that she needed to run, it wasn't worth it, having a broken tailbone still.
Yep.
And it just wasn't worth it there.
Yeah.
So they just decided to scratch it, only have her run women's. And then she went out, I think she went to Norway and ran pro light and won pro light in Norway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Kendall Rose, she's going to run 14-15 sport light. Mm-hmm. They're going to keep her out of women's until I think she's 16, which
Holy
is
crap.
your actual age that you're supposed to go to women's is 16, but you have to get... the year that I moved up, I think was the last year that they did you had a petition or something to get moved up to women's pro,
Oh, okay.
and that's what we did. But I honestly, I wish that more girls did. And I mean, once I get to the pace where I know I can be, I definitely I want to run sport. I want to run sport light. In ice levels, you don't really get there's one women's class and it's an F500 class. So if you want to move up onto the pro light or champ 440s, whatever,
Yeah.
you have to race against the guys. So
Yeah.
I never got the chance of having a women's class until I went to snowcross. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't really want to stay in women's my whole career.
Yeah, and is there a women's in IWA?
There used to be, I think my dad was on the board when they did the women's class. Mm-hmm. And then they got rid of the women's class and did a sport class instead. Mm-hmm. So, and
There probably wasn't that many women doing IWA, right?
Not really. I think there was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, so it probably didn't make sense to them
Yeah.
to do.
So I'm like, we'll just do a sport class, and then if you win the championship, then you just have to move up.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So.
almost pointing out. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. But yeah, I think you should do pro light, or not pro light, but sport. One of the two classes, sport light. I think that would be ideal. You know, and you can get a lot faster too. You know.
Yeah. Well,
But then isn't there that fear factor too? Because those guys are really fast, but they aren't afraid to lay it out. Like sport class is the new pro light, in my opinion. I don't know
Yeah.
how you feel, but those guys are really upping the bar to where they're getting the same times as pro light. Mm-hmm. You know.
I mean, I'm not. You watch it and you're like, holy crap, like they're fast. But in my opinion, if you're fast enough to win a women's pro championship or beat Maylene, you should be able to figure out the pace of sport or sport light or anything, especially sport light. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to say that you're this good in women's pro, then let's go back it up in sport. Because if you're good enough, you should be able to figure out the pace in a sport race.
Yep.
But in Maylene's defense, she had a broken tailbone, and it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I totally agree.
Because, I mean, in Fargo last year, she got black flagged, and she set pro light lap times.
Yeah, see?
Like, she had to come from behind, and she passed me like I was standing still, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. I don't know. Like looking back at the first ERX National, that triple that they were doing on that finish line, would that be something that you would do? Because that's the race pace. A lot of those top guys in sport were doing it.
I mean, those big jumps, in my opinion, anybody can do them. It's just a matter of, are you comfortable enough on your sled to do them?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the harder jumps are the smaller ones, like the rhythm, because you have to be perfect through them. There's no room for error.
Right.
And I mean, if I have to triple, I have to triple. After Fargo, I was leading and I cased the triple, and I kind of told myself that you're never going to lose a race because you didn't triple. And
It's a good mindset.
that is something that is going to stick with me for the rest of like my career in snowcross. At Canterbury, I think the triple after the corner after the finish line.
Okay,
That
yeah,
triple.
so going back towards the screen.
Yeah, going back towards the starting line. I think only Maylene, Taven, and Anana were tripling, and I was the only one that wasn't in the top 3 that was tripling. Because I'm like, it was honestly one of the easiest triples because the landing was so flat because of the pro light qualifying.
Right, and they were probably landing on the knuckle to where it's just like it's just flattening
flat.
out.
All you did was just hit it wide open and you landed, and then went through the rhythm.
Yeah, when I saw that triple, I was like, there was really no lip to it. You know, it was like you gotta send it and seat bounce the crap out of it to either try to do the triple, but they were doing it.
Yeah.
Well, but let's back it up a little bit. In 2022, you got your first win at Lake Geneva, and it seemed like you were really pumped on that.
Yeah. It was more of a, you can do this. You're not just a second place rider, or you're not a sixth place rider, or whatever. Like, it helped my confidence a lot, even though it was just a showdown. It still showed that I am fast enough to win, and that once I can pull my head out of my butt and actually ride my sled like I know how to, I can win. And it was huge for me. We worked our butts off all year. My dad is insane when it comes to clutching, and we were ripping hole shots all weekend. And just got the hole shot, and I came off of so many bad crashes that year. And what a lot of people don't know, and I think only like a handful of people know this, at Fargo, my dad almost made me quit snowcross.
Wow.
He's like,
And that would have been your second year?
that would have been my second year, and we wouldn't even have been halfway through women's. And he almost made me quit because he was so tired of the mediocre results, me crashing all the time, just that. And for me to go to Geneva and finally win, especially coming off of how I did in juniors, which I jacked my shoulder up pretty good in the showdown qualifying for girls. And so to be able to, I felt like it was just redemption for me, like showing that like, I can do this. Like I'm not here to mess around. Like I'm here to win, and
yeah, just boost that confidence.
Here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because what was the competition like when you did the showdown? Was it a lot of the top women riders?
No, that's the thing that like sucked, is that like Maylene, Taven, none of them really dropped down and did it. So it was all girls that like I knew I could beat. I mean, McKaylee Meyerhofer was probably the only other really fast one in there. And I wish that they would have dropped down and did it, but
either way, it was a big win for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool. And what's your mindset going into this season? Into the 2020. No, what was your mindset going into the season that we just had? Aside with that W from Geneva, and then everything else.
So going into the 23 season, I knew that I was almost on the pace that I needed to be to podium. And I went in there and I was confident. I knew that I could run with them. And we went to Fargo, and I had a couple mistakes where I cased a triple, and then I was running in fourth on Saturday and my tether fell off. Yeah. I I just randomly get stupid luck like that sometimes. And I knew that I could do it, and I just had to keep telling myself, like, it happens. Like, you have to just go weekend by weekend, every heat, every race, start over, reset. Like, don't sit there and dwell on everything. I just had to go in there and know that you are only a 15-year-old kid. Like,
Yeah.
don't rush it and have fun racing, because if it's not fun, then when you're not having fun is when you start driving over your head, and it's not good.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Levi injured, we had that conversation. And same with Robbie Malinowski. If you listen to the other podcasts, it's like everybody says the same thing over and over again. You got to have fun and everything else, because what's the point? There's a dirt bike guy that I'm friends with, and he's like, I just want to go out and have fun on my dirt bike. I don't even care about results, And I think when you look at it that way and you're having fun, then the results tend to show, because you're not, like you said, you're not riding over your head. You're just, you're hitting your lines perfectly. The race pace that you can go at and everything else. And I'm sure that's what your mindset is every single season, especially with IWA when you race that, just have fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think I really, everything clicked for me last year. Maylene had to yell at me so many times, like, you're a 14-year-old kid. It's your rookie year. Have fun. Quit trying to podium. Like, she's like, it'll come when it comes.
Right.
So last year I had to go in there knowing, like, if you want a podium, you have to have fun. But then there's also that time where you're like, hey, it's go time. Like, you have to lay down your fast laps and hit your marks.
Right.
And when I can do that, I'm just as fast as any of them.
Right. And on paper, it kind of showed that you're very consistent. You're getting 6, 7s, a lot of top 10s before your injury. And I think that really is a confidence booster too, because it's not like you're just getting top 10s and, below. So how is that, knowing that, like you said, you can keep that pace?
Well, I mean, I know I'm consistent enough to do it, especially, I mean, I stepped my qualifying up insanely good. I think every race I qualified, or every heat I was second or third, which that was huge for me to know that I can run right with them. Going into the final, I knew that, okay, put it together, you can podium. You're fast enough to podium as long as you can put it together.
Right.
So being consistent in that 6th and 7th, it made me more mad than I was like, hey, you're doing good, like. Because in my head, it was like I almost plateaued. But everyone's like, no, like, you're staying consistent and you're getting better every time you go out. Like, just keep running with that. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, you'll get there. And my brain doesn't like to work that way sometimes.
Yeah,
it likes to work against me.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you need to be there now. You don't have time for this. You need to get on the box now.
Yeah.
Where I just have to slow myself down and be like, okay, take your time. Like, get there and don't get injured.
Right.
I mean, breaking my leg was my very first injury in 9 years of racing.
Holy crap.
So
Wow.
I mean, like Maylene said, when I was talking to Maylene after I broke my leg, she's like, if it's your very first injury in 9 years of racing, then it needed to happen. And I honestly, in some messed up weird way, I 100% agree with her, because going into next year, I have more drive and more dedication and more like I'm going to podium and I'm going to get this than I have ever in racing.
Yeah, I could see that. And with the good qualifying times, with placing in that category, is it different than going to a race? You could do really good at qualifying, but then you get to race and you're just like, where's that speed at? You know what I mean? Do you ever have that fighting against the other?
I mean, sometimes, 'cause of course, when you're in your heats, you don't. I mean, there's been multiple times where I've had Maylene, Taven, Anana, Niley, Tasha, and all of them in my heat, and I'm like, oh crap, like I gotta go.
Stacked.
In Fargo, in my round 2, I had all of them in my heat, and I got third. So I went into Friday night knowing I'm like, you can beat them. You can podium. Like, the way my brain works is if you can lead them, you can beat them. Mm-hmm. And that's how I've always been. So it helps a lot knowing that, like, if they're all in your one heat and you can beat them, you can do it in a race.
Right.
You can do it in a final.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And having Malene in your corner to being a support system is really cool, because I like that people are being more personable with each other and they're being friendly. But then on the opposite side, I like to see professionalism, to where it's like, all right, you want to go out, you want to beat Malene, and then she wants to beat you. You know what I mean? So what is that like, having her in your corner?
She...
Aside from being a racer as well.
Yeah. She's... Honestly, the amount of times that she's just been like, dude, like, you her and Lincoln are like, at Deadwood, they're like, you know how to ride a snowmobile. Like, put it together and you can podium. And having Maylene be able to tell me the same thing, and having Maylene say that I can do it, is huge confidence booster, because Maylene doesn't just walk around telling everybody, like, oh yeah, you can podium. Like, she doesn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
And
she's a contender.
That's the Norwegian side of her. Doesn't sugarcoat things. Does not really care. And she'll call me out when I'm wrong, which is good. She keeps me honest. Honestly, that's what people need, is to stay on their toes all the time, and Maylene does that. And I want to beat her before she retires, which nobody knows when she's going to. I don't see her retiring for another couple years.
Yeah.
But it's just like Chase Sexton and Eli Tomac. Like, Chase wanted to beat him before he retired.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of us want to beat Maylene before we retire, because if you win after he retires, for me, it's not going to feel as good knowing that top person wasn't there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking back at the results, like, before Tugger retired, it was Cam, and Cam beat Tugger straight up, you know? So yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
You know, before she goes out. So this past season, before we got into nationals, you did what, one Midwest race?
Yep.
Yeah. So was that to get you ready for nationals?
Yeah, that was. I didn't have a lot of seat time on the 23, and we wanted to go do that because we knew, like, the tracks were pretty good. Like, we're like, well, let's go try one of these. Because the ice hockey regionals, the tracks tend to be more flat and more beginner level, which, that's not bad. That's what the regionals are for. Right. But we saw how those tracks were, and we're like, yeah, let's go do one of these. So a bunch of us, I know there was a bunch of the ice hockey riders there. Kyle, Cole, Adam.
Yep, Kraychuk's.
Yeah.
I think Troy was
there. A bunch of us were there. Mm-hmm. And Cole sent his sled into a light pole in the final on Saturday.
I did not see that. Wow.
Yeah, wadded it right down the hill, and sled hit a light pole.
Oh.
No damage to that sled. I don't know how.
What?
Nothing.
I don't know how I missed that. I saw Troy's crash going up the hill.
Yeah.
He looked like he was in pain.
He was. He struggled the rest of the weekend on that. I think he messed his shoulder and his back up pretty good.
Yeah.
Just hurt himself pretty good doing that. It was so icy going up that once you got down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun. Like, I raced women's and 14 to 17, and I got to run with people that I've never ran with before. Because, when you're in nationals, you're running in the same class every single weekend, you kind of learn the people you're riding with. So to split up and go to different races and learn how to ride with different people, and you have to constantly stay on your toes. You never know who's going to come out and be fast. Right. Especially running in 14 to 17. Right. I think I almost got cleaned out going on the start, like, every single race. Jeez. Because they all go in there, like, you have to be fast, especially in 14, 17.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't Peterson race in that class?
He raced in Sport and Sport Light, I think.
Okay. So you didn't have to race against him because he's fast too.
No, last time I raced against Isaac was New York in 14-15, and me and him were 1 and 2 in our qualifiers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's fast.
Yeah.
He's wicked fast. So is the plan to do another Midwest race again this coming season?
If it looks like I need to, then we probably will, but we'll kind of get to that when we get there. It's still so far away, but
Yeah.
if I need to, we will.
Okay. Yeah, it's just extra seat time too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the national guys do the regional races. You know, Cole he did what they did a big Dominator race at Arcade Compound
Yep.
in Wisconsin, and there was a lot of people there. I think the same people that was at the first Midwest, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, seat time is good. And when you got into snowcross, was there a person that you looked up to besides Moline?
I mean, I didn't really know like a whole lot of people in snowcross. So I mean, of course, like Maylene, like Megan, Taven. I really looked up to Taven, and Kyle was honestly probably
Kyle
one.
Pauline?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
probably like one of the people that I really really looked up to because he helped me so much, and like at the Learn to Ride clinic, like he helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I really looked up to like him and Taven the most.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Kyle's a great dude. He's awesome. I wish he didn't retire
Yeah.
because he's so skilled on a sled. To see him at that one Midwest race and come out and just dominate, that was insane.
Yeah.
I don't even think. I think the week prior he was out grooming trails,
Yeah.
or the couple days before that race, one of the two. But it was pretty cool to see him come back out. I wish he
Yeah.
would do that more often.
Well, and he's still like he's been up at Aurora riding like when we're up there.
Yeah.
He goes rides with Adam and Riley and
Yeah.
just trains
Well,
them.
he's the
pretty
mentor
much.
now for
Yeah,
them, right?
He's
Or the
he's
coach?
their coach. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool that he's still involved aside from other people. You know, I'm sure when Elias retires or Moline, well, she's got Cole now, but it's going to suck when they kind of all stop racing because what are they going to do? You
Yeah.
know, they're probably just going to fizzle away and, you know.
I mean, I hope they can like Elias and Maylene and Cody and all them like when they do retire, when that day comes, that they don't just completely fall off the face of the earth like Tucker did,
Yeah.
and they stick around snowcross and help out and come to all the races. I mean, I'm pretty sure Maylene would if Cole's still racing. She'll be at all of them.
Yeah, right.
Elias will probably come to a lot of them. But to completely just vanish when you retire, it's like, I mean, James Stewart finally came back to Supercross
Yeah,
and
after
motocross
6 or 7 years,
yeah,
something
after
like
being
that.
gone for so long, and like now he's finally back and he's
Mm.
announcing. So if Maylene was announcing, might have to bleep out a couple words when she's talking, but
That's totally fine. At least there'll
Yeah.
be personality in the booth.
Exactly.
You know, and it's cool to see Robbie Malinowski back too, in the booth and still designing the tracks because that was another legend in the sport.
yeah.
You know.
Robbie does a really good job with designing the tracks, and
Yeah.
we've known Robbie for like a long time because my mom is best friends with Ryder's mom, his kid.
Okay.
So we've known them for a long time, and now that Robbie is in it, it's great for all of it because the tracks are completely changed
Yeah.
from how like the first year that I was going to now. Like the tracks they're not all icy how they were like in Fargo and
Right.
ERX and all those. Like the tracks are really well laid out and well built.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, they're more racer friendly. They're designed for racers. I think before Robbie, it was kind of like they had a direction because they had Farmer Bob and the groomer and a couple other people. Steve, I think, was his name, and it was just like Bob's really good. He knows how to design a track, but I think Steve kind of was like getting a little lazy when it came to design. If you looked at Eagle River the last 2 years that we were there, the track was all rhythm sections. You know, there was really no big air, and that kind of sucked. And now with Robbie, it's like, all right, well, we want to make it exciting again. You
Yeah.
know, and that's really cool. And maybe he'll have more input from riders, maybe put in a joker lane like they did at Geneva, or a big wall, something, something crazy. I like the on-offs where they did the
Yeah.
tables, those are cool.
Yeah. I know at Eagle River, being a junior rider, we all looked at those rhythms and we're like, we're not going to be walking by the end of this weekend, but let's go. And honestly, surprisingly, having that many rhythms at Eagle River, that was my favorite track.
Really?
It was one of my favorite tracks that we did that year, and I don't know why, but I was able to figure out coming into what would have been the Ice Oval 1 and 2, right by like the paddock.
Yep.
I was able to go double through there.
Okay.
And I think only like 3 other junior riders did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it hurt when I would case it, but I still would get it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that track really challenged a lot of people because there wasn't that room for error. Having that whole
Right.
entire rhythm section, you had to be perfect through it that whole entire time.
100%.
And there was only 2 big jumps, and I think that was the finish line and then the triple before the finish line.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Coming out of what, turn 3 and 4?
yeah, that would have been 3 and 4.
Yeah. And then going the following weekend, we went the other way. And I
Yeah.
think that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like the second ERX that we had this year was kind of more tamed,
It was. I mean, it was still really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime we get to go race snowcross is fun.
Yeah.
I know that when we all showed up at ERX on Friday, the second one, and we're like, this track is backwards. They're all right-handers. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a little glad I'm not racing this because I kind of suck at left-handers or right-handers.
Yeah.
But I mean, that track still looked really cool. I mean, it was still challenging. I mean, Tasha led half of the women's final on Friday.
Yeah.
And I mean, Maylene struggled to get around her. Like, it kept everybody honest and kept them on their toes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a unique track for sure. And it was cool to see Tasha being out there. I think she could have held off Malene a little bit longer. I don't know why she didn't and why she got past, but regardless, it's still cool. And with that being said, would you say that the women's class is a lot more competitive now than it has been before? Now Tasha's back. She retired, after
21.
Yeah, so it was after we went to Eagle River twice. So would you say that the women's class is getting more stacked?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of up and coming riders, like Sarissa Blessum, Natalie LaBelle.
Yeah, didn't she win at Iowa?
Who, Sarissa or Natalie?
Sarissa.
Sarissa ended up with second.
Second, okay.
And then Natalie got third. So it was 2 people that haven't. I mean, Sarissa's never been on the podium for women's.
Right.
And she podiumed there, and then Natalie podiumed, and there's a lot of us coming up that are going to be knocking at the door here pretty quick, and it's getting to how it used to be, where you never really knew who was going to win, and that's how it should be. And I think if the class keeps going, it will. And I mean, we need a sport women's class or a 14-15 class or like something, so that way people aren't getting hurt and we're not having that. The pace from 1st to 4th is different from 4th to 10th almost, and then so on back is completely different pace. So we're the first half of the class is super competitive, and then the back half is kind of riding around.
Yeah, it's almost like the riders are just getting their feet wet in the class.
Yeah, and that's where we need a sport like women's almost. And just to get girls so that way they're not having to jump. I mean, jumping in at 14 years old going into women's pro is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, I mean, if I thought it was scary going in then, I can't imagine how it feels going in there now, knowing on how fast everybody's getting.
Right.
So I think if we can get a sport women's class, and even if it just ran in the morning with the juniors or just something, it would, I mean, yeah, I would probably kill the women's for like a year or so. But to get everybody moving through and getting people cycling and getting them to move up and like that pushing of, okay, well, we want to get back into that class.
Yep.
It will help in the long run to get the women's to how, I mean, comparing it to pro light is really hard because they're so fast, but
Probably
competitive.
like sport light.
Yeah, sport, like to get the competitiveness of that where you don't know who's going to win or you don't know who's going to podium. It's toss up every single weekend.
Well, there's only what, junior girls? That's the only other girls class, and that's for girls that are just kind of getting involved in it.
9 to 13, and I think the year that I raced, there was like 25 of us.
Yeah.
And then we all aged out, and only 3 of us moved up. Or 3 or 4 of us moved up, and that was it.
What happened to the rest of them? They just quit?
They just quit because none of them want to jump up and run with Maylene and Nana and Taven. None of them want to.
Right.
They don't have the confidence to do it.
Right. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah. It sucks because it makes the women's seem so much smaller, and then having so many different paces in women's, that makes kind of makes it look like the women shouldn't be getting the time that they are. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that don't want women's running in the night show anymore, and they think sport should take our spot, but
I think that's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. I mean, Creighton pretty much dominated sport all year. Cam Cole came in, won a couple races. Sioux Falls, Friday, it was everybody that podiumed on Friday in sport have never podiumed before.
Right.
So if we can, it's a toss-up between sport and pro women's.
Yeah. Maybe every other weekend, change it up.
Or women's runs night show on Friday and sport runs night show on Saturday or on Friday or like they just flip-flop. Like if that's, I know that like sport complains about not getting enough practice time, so then they'll get 10 minutes of practice and then we'll go out and we'll get like a rolling, like a sight lap almost, and then we get one green flag and then it's checkered and we're like, holy crap, we just got like 2.5 laps of practice. What the heck?
There's no time to even look at the track.
Or they'll give sport a sight lap in Fargo, and then women's gets theirs cut, and Maylene has to go talk and be like, what the heck?
Yeah, right.
But it's a toss up. I mean, there's stuff that women's gets that sport doesn't, and sport gets that women's doesn't. But I think there's a lot of ways to fix it and kind of please everybody. But at the same time, there's always going to be people that are like, well, I want this. Why do they get this? And it's hard to please everybody.
And everybody has TV time too now. It seems like the live stream doesn't start until what, 1 o'clock, and some of the juniors even get TV time. But regardless, it's like now that snow bike is gone, and maybe they get rid of the 120 champs from the night show, and then you have both pro and sport, or do, like you said, opposite days. I think that would work out pretty good.
I mean, we made it work, and the first 2 years of my snowcross, I mean, they made it work with sport in the night show, champ in the night show, and women's in the night show. So, and then I think our race got pushed back, so it was earlier, so 200 could be in the night show.
I don't know. That's too many. I think that's too many in the night show. I think it should just be pro light. It should just be the pro classes. Yeah. Pro women, the girls need to step up that are in the back of the class a little bit, get to that race pace. But it should just be pros. You know, that's it. It shouldn't be 120 champs. It shouldn't be 200s. It shouldn't, there's not going to be a snow bike class anymore, which kind of sucks because I liked it. But, regardless, shouldn't be pro 30. I think that all should be before the night show. Yeah,
and I mean, even
because the fans are there for the pros.
Exactly, and I know a lot of them do love the champs.
Yeah, I do too, but to an extent.
To an extent, yeah. Even if the champs ran like just before, like, just after opening ceremony. Like, before they start all pro qualifying and everything, they have champs run right after opening ceremony. Or just something so that they're still run. Because I know, like, that was what people really like is the champs because they're so different in their, like, whatever. But, I mean, it's always cool to see those, like, race. Like, before I went to snowcross, I've never seen one of those. I mean, we raced champ and ice ovals, but they were completely different.
Yeah.
Same motors, but the way, watching Avery ride, it was a lot of talent, and the bigger you are, the better you can do on those sleds because you can just throw them around.
Right.
And you never have to let off. So, it's cool watching them, but either before opening ceremony or after opening ceremonies when they should.
For sure. What is an achievement that you want to, or what do you want to achieve in your career, whether it be IWA, snowcross, or whatever?
Honestly, of
Besides
course,
beating Moline, like you said.
of course, like, everybody wants to get a championship, but if I can get enough championships, I want to move out of women's pro. I don't want to stay in there the rest of my career. I've been in there for 2 years already. So by the time I don't want to stay in there from 14 to 20 years old. Like, I want to move out and kind of, my goal is to get championships and then move out and then run sport and figure out where to go from there. Mm-hmm. It's still a long ways away, and if the pace of sport keeps going how it's going to be, it is pretty much pro light.
Yep.
And just not as loud. And so yeah, championships and then move out.
Okay. What about going to Valcourt maybe?
I have really wanted to go to Valcourt the last couple of years, and then so if we go to Valcourt, I can also race my F500, which I haven't raced in 3 years.
There you go.
So if we can do that, I can go pull double duty in Skidoo's backyard and go do ice ovals, and it would go to Valcourt, maybe even go to Norway and race. I really want to go to Norway and race. It looks so much fun.
Yeah.
And to go do that and maybe get more of their, like, the more riders we get to go to Norway or Canada and go race from ice hockey, the more they'll be like, yeah, let's go run over there. And it's kind of a 50-50 because nobody really would go to Canada and go race or go to Norway or Finland or Sweden or any of those and go race.
Right.
And now that we have a lot more people going over there to go race, I think it'll get more people over here to race.
Yeah, like that one guy that ran for Thien that was from Iceland. He came over and raced ERX. That was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely agree that we need to kind of have some diversity in from the States to Europe to Canada a little bit more, because ice hockey is, the pinnacle of the sport. Everybody wants to come here and race, and are you a factory rider for Skidoo?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. So you get full factory support from.
Yeah, we get 2 sleds and just normal, like, stuff for Skidoo that we're on the race program with them. Yeah. That's
pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that's pretty
sweet. We got our contract back from Skidoo a couple weeks ago, and was a lot better than what I thought I was going to do. I was kind of in my head a lot about kind of getting help from everybody again this year, and I'm like, I did so bad in the beginning of the season and was really, like, not thinking that I was gonna get that much help, and they're like, no, like, we're sticking with you, like, we're gonna get you to the top.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome, and that helps your confidence even more going into racing.
Knowing that you have a manufacturer backing you 100%, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, I want that.
Yeah, it's super cool because I have a great relationship with Doug from FXR and Carrie from Skidoo, and when we had the whole debacle at Deadwood Friday night, those two had my back. So did Maylene. Maylene was in my corner with it. They all were, and Doug came into my trailer and was like, "Don't worry about it. Like, you're fine. Brush it off. Like, we have your back, and we're not letting anything happen. I'm like, sweet.
That's a good group of people right there to have. And Doug is really cool. I love Doug. He's always helped me in the past too with whatever I need. And does Skidoo support you when you do IWA as well, or is that just kind of a?
Not really. I mean, we can. No, not really.
No. Okay.
But it is watercross. So I mean, it's not like it's snowcross, and a lot of the people in IWA kind of treat it like it's like snowcross or supercross or NASCAR. But there used to be a lot more help in it, like when my dad was racing and everything. But now not really. I mean, we still run Skidoo and still want the sled to look good, so that way we can represent Skidoo how we want to. But we still just run Skidoo in there because that's who we want to run. That's what my dad's ran for since 2013. I think he's ran Skidoo.
Okay. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, and then he ran. The first sled was Artie Cat, and then he ran a Yamaha for a couple years, and then he went to Skidoo, and we've been there ever since.
Nice. Outside of snowcross, what do? You play lacrosse? Did I have that correct?
Yeah, I play lacrosse for our high school team, and I do a summer league too, and then a fall ball league. So I've been doing that since I was like 10, I think.
Would you say lacrosse kind of helps you with snowcross because it's like a sport that's a little bit slower than snowcross, or vice versa?
I mean,
take it away the monotony of being a pro athlete.
I mean, it's helped in a weird way. Like in lacrosse, you have to be perfect with your timing of everything and when to take chances and when not to, and to see opportunities and to know when to take them and when not to. Just like snowcross, you have to know when to take your opportunity and to be patient and wait. And I mean,
so they kind of go hand in hand with each other. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I only still really do lacrosse because it's really good conditioning, because I play mid, which is running the whole entire time.
Oh, man.
So you're running up and down a football field, and you're like, holy crap. And that's pretty much why I only still do lacrosse, is it's really good conditioning.
And do all the people that you play with, do you tell them that you're a pro athlete?
No.
No? You kind of keep that on the DL?
I try not to talk about racing anymore, just because as much as it sucks, people are really rude. And they like to see that a girl is doing something, and they like to pick at it. And it's weird, but like I've talked to my dad about it. He's like, dude, if we were racing and like there's girls that are racing, like we would think it's cool because like no girls do it. But now it's like girls like just get bullied almost for racing. So I keep it quiet. Like the only people that know about it are people that are like really friends with me or used to be friends with me and or follow me on Instagram and stuff or whatever.
Right.
But no, I keep that silent as much as possible.
You don't want the judgment.
Yeah, it's kind of
that kind of sucks.
It's kind of a need to know basis, and they don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish like I could tell people about it, but or you tell people about it, and then they're like, oh, so you do backflips? And I'm like, no, we don't do backflips.
Yeah, that's the average answer.
Yeah.
You know.
Or it's just, I mean, I don't want to say stupid questions, but you just get stupid questions. So it's just easier to just not say that you race snowmobiles and just say like, yeah, I ride snowmobiles, whatever. And
I'm sure you get the question of why do you for the people that you possibly tell or that don't know, and they're like, okay, well, tell me all about it, and they're probably like, why do you do that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure that's a big question mark that you get.
Yeah, and it's easier to have a conversation with people when you're not talking about racing, because then you have to like stop and explain it and then start the conversation over. So it's just easier to talk to people when you're not.
Then what's going to happen when you stop playing lacrosse and then you have a different conversation later on?
Then I just hang out with my snowcross friends.
I guess that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then you just kind of just follow the sport because you like it. You don't ride, kind of deal.
Yeah, I've honestly just kind of realized, like, I mean, even with my dad, like Tony Wensloff, his daughter Anna races junior girls. My dad used to race with Tony. Used to race ice ovals with him.
Okay.
And they're still like best friends. And they've been friends since they were 14 years old, and they are still friends to this day.
Wow.
So I've kind of just realized, like, the friends that I make in snowcross are most likely or in racing in general, most likely going to be the friends that I
Have for a lifetime.
have for a lifetime, and the ones that I have in school are just kind of, I most likely won't talk to them after high school, maybe for a couple months, but then after that, I won't, so I just don't put the time and energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'll go spend my time with my snowcross friends that we all kind of have the same personality and kind of all act the same, which might not always be the best, but it's always still fun.
That's all right. That's all right. Who doesn't like to have friends that you can relate to,
Exactly.
So where can everybody find you? On Instagram and Facebook, typically?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it? Ava McCurdy 42?
Yeah, I think my Instagram's avamccurdy.42, and then my Facebook, my race account's Ava McCurdy 42.
Okay. Cool beans. Yeah. Hit Ava up if you want to follow her racing career, whatever she's doing in IWA and snowcross, and hopefully you can wrap up a championship and move up to sport class or
Yeah, that's the plan, a couple years, but
yeah. Well,
Once we
anything
get
is
there.
possible. Maybe Malene has a bad year and you're right there breathing it down her neck. Who knows?
yeah, we'll see.
It happens. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up here, and thanks for being on the show. I really
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah, you actually reached out to me. Happens more very rarely than not, but
When I said we needed a female on here, if I'm gonna be honest, I was meaning like Taven or Anana or Maylene.
oh,
They're like, oh yeah, let's have you. And I'm like, was not meaning me, but okay, I'll take it.
why not? Why was that?
I didn't think I had like enough of like a story or anything to like bring to the table with it. Where Maylene, 3-time champion, got a championship with broken tailbone.
You think that's interesting?
Maylene has a cooler story than I think I do.
Yeah, but you also do a lot more than she does.
I
She
know.
doesn't race IWA as you do, and you're in high school playing lacrosse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just.
No hate towards Malene by any means.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have her on the show. I don't think I'll be able to go to Norway by any time.
Yeah.
But maybe during snowcross I can have her on the show. But I don't know. I like to have people that don't have a big following or that are just kind of getting their feet wet and having that story rather than okay, everybody knows who Malene is. How many people know who you are?
Not a lot.
Exactly. So then having the podcast, having you on here and having this conversation is like now people are going to know who you are and you're going to have hundreds to thousands more followers because of this, and they're going to want your autograph.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why I was like, all right, well, let's have you on instead of Malene or Taven, because Taven's not that far away from where I am.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's easy. And she can go on and on and on about anything. She races cars and the whole jam, but I think your story is really cool too.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, follow Ava on all the social media platforms. Do you have TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay, TikTok too. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, I really appreciate you being on the show.
Sweet.
Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is episode 12. If you like this podcast, hit that like button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit that follow button on all social media platforms, and we'll see everybody in the next one. Again, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Absolutely.